What's going on, my good friend? Today we're going to learn how to add multiple buildings to your Nitrado server, and we're just going to have a lot of fun doing it. However, I do want to point out that in this video I'm going to teach you a way how to on how to do this, but you're going to be able to do this from your tablet, from your phone, from your console, a PC, and you're not going to need access to that DayZ offline tool, because the reality is that not everybody wants to buy a PC or have a PC to buy DayZ in it and then come back to do it on consoles. That kind of seems counterintuitive, right? And a lot of money just to get some modding done. So I feel that Bohemia is going to, or should at least, release some kind of tool for consoles that is dedicated for consoles later down the road. That doesn't mean that the offline tool doesn't work or that isn't great, but I'm going to show you how to do this in a way that you can do it pretty much from anywhere with any device, because the reality is that the general user, that's how they're going to do it. So let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is go to the events.xml. I'm already here. Just follow this path right here. The DayZ XB or PS for the missions, the offline, and choose your map, the database, and then go to the events.xml. And what I'm going to do here is that instead of explaining all this stuff, one by one, I'm going to show you this one right here, and I'm going to show you this one right here, because those two are the more important ones. Everything else that you see in here, all this information, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy all this code right there. I'm going to open my Discord. I'm going to go to the free codes channel, and I'm going to add that to it right there. Now you guys have access to it, so check out the link in the description. Make sure to check it out. Go to the free codes channel, and you can get a free template, dude, that works for sure, right? Let's make that simple. Now, moving on. To make this work, the first thing that I'm going to do is, let's go to a default one. Notice that I already have a whole bunch of buildings. I have from A, and if I keep scrolling down, I believe I have all the way through N. Let me see here. Yes. So notice that I have all the way through static building N, right? So that means that if I go to my I survive, because I personally like to mark my buildings exactly where I'm going to place them before I do. So I open the I survive, and you're going to see that at Cami, I have a whole bunch of buildings, and I also placed some buildings in the water, and the buildings are actually active, like the ladders work and all this cool stuff. I'm actually going to be posting on the Discord as well the name of my server and also the password for it. So if anybody wants to check it out and check out all this crazy madness that I created for a PvP event, go ahead and have some fun. But this is how I keep track of all my buildings, so that way I don't really have to guess too much, right? So I know that I have all the way to N, and normally what I would do to add a new building would be to just copy this entire code and just paste it down here. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to add one new building, and it's going to be building O. So I'm going to copy this code, and since I'm not really going to be saving this, I'm going to use this template right here for the bear, but you can use any template when you start over. Just make sure that you stack your buildings in order when you place them down. But I'm just going to replace this right here, because normally if this was your first building, I recommend that you replace a default value, something that you don't care about. Once you have that value right there, and let's say that you replace the bear because you don't care about the bears, you would put it in there. But since I already have buildings here, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go right here to next to the last event before the animal bear. I'm going to hit enter or return, and then I'm going to copy my code that I already did and paste it right there. Now notice that it's going to be exactly the same nomenclature, same building name. These are the only two things that are really important right here on this page. The rest of the code, you're going to have access to it. So I'm going to teach you how to manipulate these two right here, so that way you have access to the building, but also how to place a very specific building. So I said that I had building N, so my next building is going to be building O. So I'm going to make sure to get that O right in there. There we go. And now here, I don't want this building to be exactly the same as the fire station that I already had up here, right? Because the previous building, that was pretty much it. I don't want to have two fire stations in the same place. Maybe you do, right? So if that's the case, you don't really need it. So something that I like to do is have a notepad ready. In this notepad, I go to the map group proto and I create little notepads or different little notepads with the names of buildings and stuff like that. This is my military notepad. So I have a whole bunch of military buildings right here. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to grab this guy right here, which is the round military barrack, which is the green kind of container one that is really cool. And what I'm going to do is that on building O, I'm going to go to where it says fire station, and I'm going to go right here and replace that with the new value. Now you have a building that has a name, a dedicated value. It has, you know, all the nominal and all this cool stuff. This is the important thing right here. You need to make sure that this says fixed in the middle, so that way it's always there. Make sure that, you know, this one right here, I'm not quite sure how much it affects it if it's different. Just make sure that it says mixed and that it's 1. And then when you go over here, these numbers right here don't really affect it that much by default, but if you want to change them, that's up to you. Alrighty, so I have my new building and I have it properly labeled, and you have access to this entire code on the Discord. Make sure to save your changes. I'm personally not going to save the changes because I don't need this building in specific. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to refresh my page, but you make sure to save yours, your work. Now the next thing that I'm going to do, now that I have building O, and for you it should be static building A, correct? But since I already have it, you know, let's move on to the next one. Now I'm going to go back to DayZ offline and choose your map. It's either Cherneros or Livonia, Enoch. And I'm going to go down to where it says CFG event spawns.xml. Once this loads, let's give it a second right here. Once this loads, you're going to see that I already have coordinates and positions for all of my buildings, every single one. So that means that building A has coordinates, and I know exactly, and the rotation as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this template right here. I'm going to show you how to edit it, but what I'm going to do first is that I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go to the Discord, and I'm going to paste it right there. Alrighty. If you find this code in the Discord, you would change this value to whatever you need it to be, and then you would change just the X-axis and the Z-axis to change the location anywhere on the map. I'm going to show you how to do that, but now you have access to that code right there. And I'm going to do one from default, so that way you actually see how it works, because normally they don't look all neat with just one position, very sexy, very pretty. The way that they look is that they have default, but they also have a whole bunch of default positions. So to edit this, I go to the very last one, go all the way up, leave only one position available. There we go. Get rid of that space. Remember that spaces are not just spaces like this, like leaving this. Some spaces look like that. If you leave a space like this and you don't realize, it's not gonna register. You need to make sure that before you save it, that blinks right there. That blinks right there. That blinks right there. Very close, no spaces. So remember, spaces are huge mistakes. That's probably why it's not working for a lot of people. They don't realize that something like that is a big mistake. So you have to bring it back. Okay, then you save your work. Now what you have right here is that you're going to be left with one position, but it's still going to be a default, you know, a completely default name. So it's going to be static building. And now for you, it would be whatever building it is. It doesn't have to be A. It can be building 1. It can be building NE and then NEF and whatever you want to call them. It doesn't really matter. They just have to match on both. But since I'm working with building O, I'm going to go to building O. Okay. Now, these are default coordinates. That means that I have no idea where this is going to actually spawn on the map. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to the I survive, and I want that round barrack to actually be a little bit closer to the beach, but not actually in the water. And I'm going to drop a marker right here, letting me know that this is going to be the placement that I have for building O. Now I'm going to hover over it and use Control-C to copy the coordinates, and then I'm going to go back to my Nitrado server and paste those coordinates. Okay, now that we have the coordinates in here, all we have to do is grab the X and the Z values and replace them right in here, right? So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take that right there and copy that right there, and then I'm going to paste it right in here. And then I'm going to grab the next one, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Notice that I'm not doing this. I'm not grabbing nothing extra. I'm grabbing from the end of the 2 to the end of the 3. Copy that and paste it right there. Otherwise, you'll be adding spaces. And then you go ahead and get rid of that and save your progress. And right there, that's what that's going to add is a brand new building, because we said that if it was going to be the round barrack is going to be added to my server right there, and now it has a position, and also I have a way of keeping track of it. And like I said, this is a pretty crazy map that I created. It has a couple of sea chests with M4s and KA rifles, and it's just a PvP event that we're just gonna have a lot of fun doing. And it's not necessarily going to be a live stream, but if you would like to participate of this event, check out the Discord, come over here, check out the date, the time, because basically we have a prison, we have a whole bunch of ATCs in the water. This building right here is that building that they call the Trump Tower, so it actually looks really cool in the water. But all these buildings are actually active, including fire stations and barracks back here close to the police station. It's actually pretty cool. So, but going back over here, after you save your progress and everything is set, notice that all I did, if I was going to repeat this process, notice that if I started from event number 1 or event A in this case, and I have my coordinates, I wouldn't really have all this stuff below. I would literally copy the code, press enter, paste it, and and create one new one. So I'll give you guys one more example before I go. I'm gonna go down, and once you have your values, you don't have to create one from default again. You just copy that right there, press enter, and there you go, and it's going to copy exactly the same thing. Then let's call it building P. Go back, I want building P right here, make sure that I mark it, grab the coordinates, copy them right there, and one more time do the same deal. Copy those right there, copy those right in here, right? So I'm not going to be adding this building. I'm not going to save any of this because this is ready for the PvP event that we're working on. But I really hope that this shares a lot of light on how it actually works. Something that I want you guys to keep in mind, something that I haven't heard anybody say, but this is something that just makes sense to me because I personally play Ark. I love playing Ark, and there's some Bohemia games like Arma 3 in specific. Arma 2 is a very sexy game, but Ark has always been one of my favorite Bohemia games from the very beginning that I started playing it. But it's a Bohemia interactive game, and DayZ is also a Bohemia interactive game. So think about it. So when you're placing a building or a structure on Ark, you can see the green where you're going to place your structure, whether it's a furnace or whatever the fuck it is that you're placing. You can see that it's green. If there's no platform or anything for it to work, it highlights itself red, and you won't be able to build on it, correct? So, and then when it's green, you can just place your platform or whatever it is that you're working on. However, you have a visual representation in front of you in Ark. We don't have that in DayZ. So sometimes you're going to see that there's some buildings that you're going to be dropping and all this other stuff. By the way, let me get rid of this because I want to make sure that you guys don't think that that stays there. That doesn't stay there. This goes, okay? And then save your progress and all this other stuff. But to get back to what I was saying is that in Ark, we have the visual representation of where you can build and where we cannot. In DayZ, especially for consoles, we are working with fucking blindfolds, literally, right? So if you don't have access to the DayZ offline tool, then don't worry about it. But also keep in mind that lopsided terrains, they don't work very well. Build on flat terrains. Also remember that the building itself doesn't determine how much space it needs on the bottom. Do you remember on Ark, those big platforms that when you put it, it's like a small building or a small structure that you build, but the bottom of it is like this huge fucking green or red square depending on where you're building. It's the same concept. So the building may be okay to put it there, but maybe it needs to move a little bit to the left, to the right, or whatever. So try to find big flat spots where you can build, and you're gonna see that you're gonna be able to add even in, you know, buildings in the water, which is the coolest freaking thing. So I really hope that this information, you guys really find it useful. Remember to subscribe, turn on the notifications, share the love, and our Discord community is nothing but this. We help each other. We just copy codes and we share them. Somebody needs help and I don't know, somebody will jump in and be like, hey, Heels, shut the fuck up, dude, I got this one. It's cool. That's how we operate in our Discord. We keep toxic people out and we just bring server owners that just want to chill. So come check us out and get some one-on-one help with me or pretty much anybody from the, you know, the community, and just enjoy the game. And above that, enjoy the tools that Bohemia has given us up to this point, and leave it at that. The year just started. At the point of this video, it's been a month maybe since modding came out for consoles. Give Bohemia some time and give them a lot of credit. They're doing their best. They just said that they reduced their team, their developing team. They just reduced it. Give them time. The tools will come. Bohemia, I believe in you, brother. Brothers, sisters, everybody. Catch you later, guys. Stay sexy.